Hello everyone, welcome to PRP Coding YouTube channel. I am Praveen Ravindran Pillai. This is part 5 of our object-oriented programming series, and today we are diving deep into the static keyword. So let's start. So what exactly does static mean in Java? Essentially, the static keyword makes a member belong to the class itself rather than to any specific instance of the class. This means that the static members can be accessed directly using the class name without needing to create an object. They are also shared among all instances of the class. In this session, I shall explain about static variables, static block, non-static block, and static methods. Everything will be explained via code. For that, let me flip to VS Code. I have created a class named circle with two data members, radius and pi. Radius is of int type and pi is of float type with a value of 3.14. The circle class has a parameterized constructor which takes a single parameter, a radius of type int. This is used to assign the private data member radius outside of the circle class. Then there is a method named calculate area. It is basically used to calculate the area of the circle. The formula is pi r square and the result is printed in the console. Now, in the main method, circle1 object is created by passing the radius as 5 in the constructor. Then the calculate area method is invoked by the circle1 reference variable. Similarly, circle2 object is created by passing the radius as 10 and the calculate area method is invoked with the circle2 reference variable. Now let me run this application and see whether everything is working fine. In the terminal window, run the command javac main.java and java main. So here you can see the output. Now, first, the circle1 constructor is invoked with a radius 5 and the area of circle1 is printed. You can see it here. Then the circle2 constructor is invoked with a radius 10 and the area of the circle is printed. That you can see here. So everything is working as expected. Now, let's see how memory is allocated in the heap for these two circle objects. When we say circle1 is equal to new circle with radius 5, it will create a memory location in the heap. That memory location is assigned to the circle1 reference variable in the stack. Similarly, circle2 equal to new circle with radius 10, it will also create its own memory location in the heap, and that memory location is assigned to the circle2 reference variable in the stack. So every time when the circle class is instantiated, it will assign memory in the heap. Now, if you look closely in the heap memories, even though the pi value is a constant, different memory for pi is created. For example, if I create 100 circle instances, then 100 pi memory locations are created. It would have been great if one pi memory is created, something like this, and all class instances share the same pi memory location. Here, the pi is not a part of circle1 or circle2 heap memory. So the pi memory location is shared with different instances of circle class. Is it possible in Java? Absolutely. This can be achieved by making the pi variable as static. For that, mark the pi variable as a static variable. So I can use the static keyword. Okay. Now, if we run the application, the output remains the same even if the pi variable is static or non-static. But the difference is that the same pi memory is shared with multiple circle instances. Okay, but how will we prove that only one pi memory is created if it is marked as static? For that, we can use static block. Static blocks are blocks of code that are executed only once when the class is first loaded into memory. Static blocks are often used for initializing static variables or performing other setup tasks that needs to be done only once. So let me explain this with the help of code. To create a static block, we can use the static keyword followed by an opening and closing curly bracket. Static blocks are mainly used to initialize static variables. So here we have one static variable here. So what I'm going to do here is, let me remove this and I will make pi is equal to 3.14. So I am initializing the static variable inside the static block. But How will we know that, okay, the code has executed this static block? For that, I'm going to add sys out, okay, and here I can say inside static block. Now let me run this application. In the terminal window, run the command java c main.java and run java main. If you look at the output, we have inside static block, inside constructor 78.5, inside constructor 314.0. We know that the entry point of a Java application is the main method. Okay. So JVM, the Java virtual machine invokes the main method. Now, the moment the control reach here, circle 1 equal to new circle with radius 5. The Java virtual machine will load the circle class in the Java ecosystem. Once it is loaded, it will check if the loaded class has any static members. If there are any static members, then memory for static members are allocated first. So if I scroll up, here you can see that in our case, we have one static variable float pi. Okay. So it will allocate memory for this pi variable. And what will be the default value? 0.0. Why? The default value for float is 0.0. Then it will go and check if the static block is present or not. If the static block is present, then it will execute that. So here in our case, we have the static block. So it will go and execute this static block, and it will go and assign the value of 3.14 to this pi variable. Now, currently the pi variable is holding value 3.14. And now in line number 10, here you can see that in the console, we are printing inside static block. And that is the reason why we are seeing inside static block as the first output. Okay. So we can say that static block is executed first. Then memory for non-static members of the class are allocated in the heap. In our case, we have one non-static variable radius. Okay, so memory for radius will be allocated with the default value of int, that is 0. Now, if I scroll down, the moment it says new circle with the radius 5, it will go and invoke the constructor of this class. So this is the constructor. Okay. So first it will go and print system.out.println inside constructor. For that reason, we are seeing the output as inside constructor here. Okay. Then the instance variable radius is assigned with the value 5. Then the control comes to line number 28. It will go and invoke the calculate area method. So if I scroll up, it will come over here, and that area is printed. So that area 78.5 is printed. Line number 29, it will go and print the star. Okay, so the star is printed over here. Okay. Now the control comes to circle 2 is equal to new circle with the radius 10. This time the Java virtual machine will not load the circle class. Why? Because it is already loaded when it executed line number 27. For that reason, static block will not be executed this time. See, after the star, we are not able to see inside static block. Now, the moment it says new circle with radius 10, it will invoke this constructor. Okay, and this message will be printed inside constructor. Yes, so inside constructor is printed. Then it is invoking the calculate area. See, circle2.calculate area. So it will come over here and it will print the area, and that area is 314.0. Static blocks are executed only once. Hence, we can say that static members are allocated in memory only once, and the same memory is shared with multiple instances of circle classes. Is it possible to initialize a non-static member inside a static block? Let's see that. So here inside the static block, let me assign radius is equal to 10. Immediately you can see a red squiggly. It's an error. If I hover, it says that cannot make a static reference to the non-static field radius. Why? When JVM loads the circle class, static members are allocated in memory with default values. But for non-static members, memory is not yet allocated. So here we are trying to access a member which is not present in memory. Is it possible to access a member without memory? No, right? So non-static members cannot be accessed inside a static block. Now, is it possible to access static members inside a non-static method? Absolutely. The reason is static members are allocated in memory before instance members. For that reason, we are able to access pi inside the calculate area method. So it is possible to access static members inside a non-static method. Similar to static block, there is a concept called as non-static block in Java. So it's just an opening and closing curly bracket. That's it. So let me say out, I will say inside non-static block. Okay. Now let me go and run this application. In the terminal window, run the command javac main.java and java main. And here you can see the output as inside static block, inside non-static block, inside constructor, area of the circle 1, inside non-static block, inside constructor, then area of circle 2. First part we already know, inside static block. Static blocks are executed only once. Now, how the non-static block is working? A non-static block is executed every time an object of the class is created. Critically, it runs before the constructor of the class. So here you can see that when I created the object of circle 1, yes, first the static block is executed, that's fine. Now it has executed the non-static block first. Okay, so the non-static block is executed before the constructor. So then this inside constructor is executed. Now when we create the object of circle 2, see this time it will not create it will not enter static block, but it will enter the non-static block again. So inside non-static block, then it will enter the constructor, inside constructor. Okay. Now let's move on to static methods. Here you can see that I have created a method named about circle, okay, which is a void, and I have marked this function as static. And this function is printing a message: a circle is a fundamental shape in geometry. Now, static methods belong to the class and can be called directly using the class name. So if I scroll down here, I can invoke this about circle by using the class name. I can say circle dot, I can say about class. Okay, so this will go and invoke this particular method. Okay, so is it possible to invoke the static variables and static methods by the object of the class? Absolutely. Here I can use the circle1 object, circle1 dot, can say about circle. See, it is accessible. Similarly, I can access the static variable also. I can say float pi value is equal to, I can say circle1 dot pi. Okay. Now here you can see that there is a yellow squiggly. If I hover, it says that the static method about circle from the type circle should be accessed in a static way. Even though it is possible to access the static methods and static variables by using the class objects, Java compiler says that it is better, it is recommended to call the static methods and variables by using the class name. So when should you use the static keyword? Use it when you need a variable or method that is shared by all instances of a class. Use it for utility methods that don't depend on object state. Use it for constants that are the same for all instances. Use static blocks for one-time initialization tasks. So this is all about static keyword in Java. If you find this video helpful, then please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel and stay tuned for the next updates. Thank you.